All right, when you're multiplying and dividing scientific notation, there are certain rules we have to follow. And so I think it's best, let's just take a look at the first example. So we're going to multiply these numbers. So the coefficient, or the first number, you just multiply. So I deal with these first. So 2 times 3 is 6. And then I'm going to deal with my exponents later. So those will be next. So here you got 10 to the third and 10 to the negative 1. So these exponents, when we multiply, since they're exponents, we just add them. So this would be times 10, and then it would be 3 plus a negative 1. So this is in the exponents. And that would equal 6 times 10. 3 plus negative 1 is 2. So 6 times 10 to the second. A couple things. Notice I always got to check my significant figures. So here I have 1 sig fig. 1 sig fig. My answer should have 1 sig fig, and it does. All right. When I'm dividing, it's similar. So I first divide my two coefficients. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5 times, and then now I take, instead of adding them when I multiply, I subtract them when I divide, so negative 2 minus 3. And so that'll equal 2.5 times 10 to the negative fifth, right? I check that I have 2 sig figs here, 2 here, so my answer should have 2. This has 2. The next one is 6.00 times 10 to the fifth divided by 2.0 times 10 to the second. Once again, 6 divided by 2 is 3, so I normally divide my coefficients, and then I get to subtract my exponents. 5 minus 2 is 3. This has 3 sig figs, this has 2. And so my answer must have 2 sig figs. In this case, it only has 1, so I've got to add 3.0 times 10 to the third. All right, so here it gets a little more tricky. So I'm going to go ahead and, so there's an extra step involved. 7 times 6 is 42, times 10 to the third minus 1, so 3 minus 1, or 3 plus a negative 1 is 2. Now notice that this is not correct scientific notation because you need, there's 2 numbers to the left of the decimal. So I need to change it. So I'm going to change it to 4.2. But because I did that, I need to add an extra exponent, which would be to the third power. What I want you to notice, so we'll check our sig figs, is there were 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. So we're good with significant figures. Let me just go over this really quickly. So 42 times 10 to the second, right? So what I want to do with 42 is I want to move that decimal one place, right, to here. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking a bigger number and making it smaller, right? And so if I take a bigger number and make it smaller, I actually have to I have to balance it out by making the exponent bigger. And so I'm going to add 1. So that'll give me 4.2 times 10 to the third. Okay? All right. The next one is the same. I just want, so we know this is 4.2 times 10 to the third, but I want you to notice this has 2 sig figs, this has 1, right? So now I have to round this to 1 sig fig, so it would be 4 times 10 to the third. The reason why I put there is a lot of times you just have to remember significant figures. Okay, so we are going to we'll go to this for homework or for practice. I want you to go where it says, click on where it says practice. Oh, what did I do? So I want you to go where it says, do it one more time, practice multiply and divide. And then so it'll give you stuff to practice. So here it says 6 times 10 to the fourth So 6 divided by 1 is 6, so I'll put 6 there. And then 4 minus the negative 5 is 9. Check my answer, good, and then I'll move on to the next problem. Okay? All right.